Hey guys, Paul here from Meldrum Performance Coaching with another video podcast episode. Today, you're going to be talking about, we just did the PT tips. We had 8 tips to help you improve your business. Now, I'm going to be talking about language as a coach when dealing with clients. And this is inspired off an Instagram post, which basically says muscles grow and shrink, they don't tone and sculpt. And it's the the point of this podcast, pardon me, is not to say that isn't true. That is absolutely true. There is no such thing as muscles get toned. They are they don't get sculpted. They grow in size, and we shrink in body fat, or we grow in body fat, and our muscles shrink. It's very, very cut and dry. The problem is when fit pros make a big deal about telling their clients that they're wrong for what they want. Now, our goal as a fit pro is to never make a client feel bad about what they want to do when they come to the gym, what goal they want to achieve. Very often we put our own unconscious biases and sometimes our conscious biases onto what we think our clients should be doing. So if we're telling our clients that they've come to the gym, they're in a vulnerable state, they're asking for help, which is a really hard thing to do, and that should be commended in and of itself. They're asking help and they're like, I really want to tone up. Whoa, hold on there, Susan. You can't do that. What do you mean? There's no such thing as toning up, Susan. Now you can only build muscle and lose fat. So we're going to build you a lot of muscle and lose a lot of fat. How's that sound? What you've done just there is to totally ignore that client. Totally put your own little expectations onto yourself and your own little biases and made that client feel bad about themselves. And that's probably the last thing that we need to do as fitness professionals. So this topic ties into a much bigger overall picture of what we want to do when we're coaching. When we're coaching our clients, the art of giving feedback for what they want to have, like what goal they want to achieve, how they perform their movement, how their diet is going, how their headspace is going, it really needs to be geared more towards a positive, more optimistic outlook where we listen to our client and we can let things like, I use a word that's not technically correct, disappear. We don't have to worry about it. It's not a big deal. We know what it actually is. We don't need to correct that person and make them feel stupid. So from a coaching perspective, this is all about the art of giving feedback. For a client to get the best results, they need to be able to take that feedback on board. And what we need to think about is how can we deliver that feedback in a much more useful way and one that they're going to be more likely to take on board. So when communicating to a client when they're doing an exercise, the first thing we can say is, how did that feel to you? So we want to find out where they felt the exercise, get their idea of their subjective feelings of the exercise, because that is an important thing for it. Because if they feel pain, we need to change it. If they didn't feel it in the target muscle, we may need to change the execution. So if it's a squat and they're feeling it only in their lower back, we got a problem there. It may look okay, but we may need to modify it. So we need to find out, how did you find the exercise? How was it subjectively to you, without using the word subjectively? And then we need to ask, how do you think you could do better? So what we're doing here is we're actually getting the client actively involved in the solution process. So we're getting them to find the solution to the problem that they have yet. And by doing that, we're getting them to buy more into the process of training, the process of getting better, of getting stronger, of improving their movement skill. And people who buy into the process and actually start to learn to enjoy it and become a bit more involved, a bit more educated in it, they are the ones who end up going, oh, I didn't know you couldn't tone. Oh, there's muscle. How about that? And they'll be like really excited to discover these things for themselves. It's going to create a higher degree of autonomy. It's going to also make them more receptive to your suggestions in the future when they do come, because they will come at one point, and that's okay. The point of feedback is to always try and draw it out of a person first before you start criticizing them or before you start giving feedback. From there, what you can do is focus on one thing in that actual set and be very, very positive on how they go if they achieve it. So yeah, you did good, fantastic job. You've really nailed that target. So what we're going to do is focus on that for this week. Next week, we'll do something else. And then therefore you've given them feedback that's been elicited from them. They've problem solved. They feel autonomy. They feel a little bit in charge of this. They feel like you've supported them through that process and you've observed if their change has made a difference. Food diaries and food journals and MyFitnessPal summaries, the exact same scenario applies. You look at someone and you go, Okay, cool. That's food, all right. How you been feeling with everything? How's that working for you? Is a question I got from Precision Nutrition. And how that's working for you is a really fantastic question to ask compared to this diet looks like crap. Because we're not finding something that's wrong with them, we're asking for how they subjectively feel. And I know I've said this a few times, but subjective feelings are super important in the coaching area because if someone feels really good about everything that's going on, they're probably going to keep going forward. If someone feels really bad about it, adherence is going to drop out. So we don't want that to happen. So, first, how's that working for you? And then, is there anything else you could be doing differently or could be doing a little bit better? And most people are pretty intelligent. We need to give them credit for what is actually for what they actually know. Like most people know they need more veggies, most people know they need more protein, most people know they need more water. It's not the hardest thing in the world to wrap their head around, and most people know that. So we ask people questions that will guide them to coming to the realization that what they're doing could be improved. They're going to get better outcomes. So, guys, for today's lesson, the things that we need to remember not to make our clients feel stupid for the things they say, even though they may not be technically correct. We might find muscle tone exists in the future, who knows? But for the time being, we don't want to make people feel bad for the words that come out of their mouth. It is never a productive scenario for a coaching client. We certainly don't want to ridicule that on our social media in an effort to get likes from fit pros who have the same kind of biases as us. It doesn't really help anyone. It's that whole James Smith, oh, you're an asshole because you don't have a calorie deficit type approach. It's not very useful except for one very particular type of person. A much better approach to coaching is to always be inclusive of your clients, to work with them, to find out how they feel about it and feel out how they can improve, and there you can be the guide and the accountability coach. Thanks heaps for today, guys. Looking forward to speaking to you soon. Catch you later.